Send the lamb to the ruler of the land. As we know, the lamb is Messiah, who died for our sins. From Selah to the wilderness, to the mount of the daughter of Zion. The mount of the daughter of Zion is the kingdom of Yahweh. For he shall be as a wandering bird thrown out of the nest. The wandering bird has to do with what we read in the book of Revelation 12, when the virgin, the congregation of the chosen few, is given the wings of the great eagle so that she may fly to her place, the prepared place, so that she may be there and may be nourished for 1260 days, which are also said as time and times and half a time, or 42 months. So the virgin is going to be for the last 3.5 years of the last 7 years in the prepared place after she is transformed, which is represented by what is said by Yahuhanan when he said that she's given the wings of the great eagle. So if she's giving wings of an eagle, that is why we see here that Yahweh is talking about the congregation, the kingdom of Yahweh, as the wandering bird, as a wandering bird thrown out of the nest. Remember that the chosen few in Revelation 12 are going away from their houses in this world in order to find Elohim, to find Yahweh, as Yahushua told us to do in Matthew 24, Luke 17, Mark 13. Just like Lot went out of Sodom before Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by the two angels that represent the two witnesses. So two angels came to Sodom and Gomorrah, like two witnesses are coming to the world during the first 3.5 years. Lot, in this case, represents the chosen few, and in this case I say that way because he's male, and normally the congregation is represented by a female. However, in this case it is represented by Lot because he is connected to Abraham as the faith, of course, but in the spiritual sense, remember that scripture tells us that the 144,000 are males. As I have explained in other studies, this has to do with heads of households. That's why it speaks in that language. And also the fact that it says virgins, and I just said heads of households, has to do with the spiritual, which is the fact that they have not mixed with wrong doctrines of demons, which are called whores. So that's why they have not been with whores, because they are waiting for Messiah. And each and every one of them as one is the congregation of the few who will marry Messiah. So as the many, as the 144,000, as a group, it is represented by a female, but each one of the members, it is represented by a male. So as a group is a female, as a individual, each is a male. That's why it is written that in Yahushua there is no male nor female, because even when a female believes in Messiah, Yahushua, she becomes part of his body, and therefore spiritually she becomes male. But still, as a member of the congregation, she is female, because she will marry the groom during the wedding of the Lamb. I hope that is being understood. The point is, that's why Lot in this case represents the chosen few, and that's why is male. Then we have his wife, who believed halfsies. She believed halfway, because when she was going halfway, she turned back, something the witnesses, the angels, told her not to do. Specifically, she did, so she died. So basically, Lot and his wife can be seen as the few and the many, for instance, because the few will be able to remain alive eternally, simply be transformed into their spiritual bodies, while the many, which in this case by being many is most commonly represented by a female, the many will not believe fully the testimony and the word, because the believers, they only have the testimony, because the testimony is to believe in the heart for justification. So believers only have justification. Then you have to basically confess the name, which is the oath. And once you do that, you receive the Spirit in order to do the works. So first you have to believe, and then you start doing the works, because faith without works, as we know, is dead. So here we see that it says, "For it shall be as a wandering bird thrown out of the nest, so shall the daughters of Moab." This is interesting because Moab is a son of Lot. So here we see a direct connection with Lot. Like I said, Lot represents the few, his wife, the many, who will die during the Great Tribulation. The few will be transformed into their new bodies, and then the earth will be destroyed during the 3.5 years, when the few will be in the prepared place. As we know, Lot, when he went out, he also took his daughters, and his daughters. Just a second, the internet seems to be failing. Hopefully, let me know please if it's working. Okay, seems to be working now. Okay, excuse me. So, he went out with his two daughters, Lot. They thought that the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah had been actually worldwide. They thought that what happened with Noah had just happened with their father. And since their mom died during that little exodus, since their mother died, as we know, Noah went with his wife. So after the flood, excuse me, just a second. I'm so sorry. So like I was saying, excuse me, I'm having a little bit of trouble here. Lot had two daughters. They thought that the destruction had happened just like it happened with Noah. Noah had not only his wife on the ark, but also three of his sons with their wives. Then, when they came out of the ark, Noah planted a vine, and he got grapes, and he got drunk after he made wine, of course. And there was a problem that happened after that, and curses were given. Then we see the story with Lot. His daughters thought that the whole world had been destroyed, so they thought that there were no men left on earth. So their only reasoning was that they had to replenish the earth like Noah did. So they got their dad drunk and then had sex with him. So just like Noah got drunk on wine, Lot got drunk on wine right after destruction of their land. Well, with Noah, the whole land, with Lot, Sodom and Gomorrah, and three other cities. Well, actually two, because one was forgiven so that Lot could go there and stay there during the destruction. So they gave Lot wine, had sex with him, so they committed incest, which of course is wrong. However, we need to understand they did not understand what was going on in the world. They thought that was what they had to do. Something in the flesh, which obviously the inclination to do evil, told them that they had to do that because there were no men in the world, and that was um their job now. So they did that. So Moab and Ammon came from Lot with his daughters. That's why the names Moab and Ammon have a connection, obviously in the negative sense, to incest. Moab and Ammon mean, respectively, of his father and of his people, or of his nation, meaning really his people, his family, his kin. So one daughter had a son with her father, and that's why she named him of the father, because he was son of his own grandfather. And then Ammon, because it was a name just like the first, however, counting genetics, the people, not just being one son, or yeah, one son of a father. In this case, it was one son of a people, those who came from Lot. So Moab and Ammon have negative connotations. When we see it in the negative sense, Lot, which means cover, represents a veil, represents Samael. That's why the veil of the flesh, which is the veil of Samael, the veil that Moshe had on his face, that veil is broken when, or destroyed when people die. The flesh is a veil that does not allow us to see the spiritual world. When we come out of the flesh, we are able to see the spiritual world, for instance, among other things. So when we come out of the flesh, basically there is a veil that is being broken. Plus, it is in the flesh that the inclination to do evil resides. Therefore, when we come out of the flesh, we won't feel any kind of temptation or any type. So that is the veil of Samael, which is represented by Lot, which means cover. And Lot represents the time when the chosen few will be transformed from these bodies to the new bodies, and therefore when that veil of the flesh will break finally. So that's why Lot has a spiritual positive sense and a negative also interpretation. Then Moab and Ammon, of the father of the people, represents in the positive sense first and last. Yahushua, who came of the father, and the last, who is coming for the people and will be the king of the people. And they will become one, as in both came from one, that is Lot, Lot representing the father. However, in the negative sense, Moab represents Lucifer, Hillel, and Azazel is represented by Ammon. In this case, what it says is, so shall be the daughters of Moab at the fords of the Arnon. So the name here we see is Moab. In the positive, the chosen few who happen to be wandering in the desert when they are given wings like a bird to go to the prepared place, to become the mount of the daughter of Zion, the kingdom of Yahweh. Through the Lamb, the ruler of the land, as we see in Revelation 14, when the Lamb is with the 144,000. With the 144,000 who have the name of the Father and his name on their foreheads. So send the Lamb to the ruler of the land, from Selah to the wilderness, to the mount of the daughter of Zion. For he shall be as a wandering bird thrown out of the nest. So shall be the daughters of Moab at the fords of the Arnon. I'm gonna look for the word Arnon for a second. Arnon means rushing, roaring. So roaring like the roar of a lion, or rushing like a rushing stream of a river. So shall the daughters of Moab, which if we were to translate Moab, it would be so shall be the daughters of the father at the fords of the rushing waters, the rushing stream, or the roaring of the lion of Yehudah. But as we know, the the congregation of Israel went through the Red Sea when it parted, and then those who entered the promised land went through the Yarden also with their sandals when it parted. Those two represent those two events represent the time when the chosen few will be transformed and will go from this life to the other without having to get wet, meaning without having to die. So shall be the daughters of Moab at the fords of the Arnon. So shall be the daughters of the father at the fords of the rushing waters. Take counsel, execute judgment, make your shadow like the night in the middle of the day. Hide the outcast, do not betray him who escapes. Like we know, Lot escaped. The chosen few will escape, and they won't be betrayed. Let my outcast, the chosen few are outcasts in this world. They are not accepted. They are not, well, pretty much they are not wanted in this world, nor by neither by the enemy of this the enemy which is the owner of this world, this temporal world, nor the people that worship him without knowing who they are worshiping, feel some type of way regarding us, which they don't understand sometimes, but we do understand it, or at least we should understand it. It's a spiritual thing, and that's why scripture says that our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and authorities, and basically all the angels, demons, and fallen spirits, the evil spirits that came out of the Nephilim. So let my outcast dwell with you, O Moab. So we see that Yahweh is not talking about Moab. He's talking about his chosen few who will go to a place, and a specific place, to be protected during the Great Tribulation. And that place is being represented by Moab, which has a name that means of the Father. That's why, because they are of the Father, they will be protected during the Great Tribulation. So let my outcasts dwell with you, O Moab. Be a shelter to them from the face of the spoiler, meaning be a shelter to them from the face of the abomination of desolation, which is the false Messiah. For the extortioner is at an end. Devastation ceases. The oppressors are consumed out of the land. In mercy, the throne will be established. In mercy, the throne will be established. For instance, David had a heart according to the heart of Yahweh. However, David sinned, so he needed mercy for his throne to be established. When he repented, he received forgiveness, and then Yahweh says that David was a man without sin. So that is to show that the second coming is as the prodigal son who needs mercy through the first who paid for his sins, so that he may take the throne as David, because he does have a heart like the heart of Yahweh. Basically, he is the heart of Yahweh in that sense, metaphorically, of course. So that's what David represents. Just like, for instance, we need the brain in the head and the heart in the body in order for everything to work. If you cut one, it's over. Basically, this represents the first and the last. The brain is the first, that's why he's the head of the congregation, and the last is the heart. That's why he is for the people, because the people are the body. Through the heart goes the blood, which is the life, and Yahushua is the life. So basically, the life of Yahushua will come through to the chosen few and the many through the last, which is the heart. Hope that is being clear. So Let my outcast dwell with you, O Moab, be a shelter to them from the face of the spoiler, from the extortion, for the extortioner is at an end. Devastation ceases, the oppressors are consumed. Out of the land, in mercy the throne will be established, and one will sit on it in truth. In mercy the throne will be established. Yes. In the temple there were two pillars, one Yachin and the other Boaz, which means he will establish with strength, in power. So in mercy the throne will be established. Because when Messiah came, he came to take the scepter, the authority from the Yahudim, as it was written on Genesis 49, according to the blessing given to Yehudah, the tribe. So Yahushua came and took the power, so that in mercy he could establish the kingdom through the last, which is his messenger. Because Yahushua is the messenger of the Father, the last is the messenger of Yahushua. So, just like Yahweh the Father Almighty, then Yahushua the Kohen Gadol, or high priest, and then the great king, Melech Gadol, which is the second coming. So, in mercy the throne will be established, and one will sit on it in truth. It doesn't say that the truth will sit on it. It says, and one will sit on it in truth. That means that the one that will sit on it as the king will do so in Yahushua. So the last has to come and accept Yahushua in order to be able to sit on the throne and establish finally, literally, the kingdom of Yahweh on earth. And that's why Yirmiyahu said that the prophet who prophesies peace, and that peace happens when shalom happens, then you'll know that is the prophet that Yahweh sent. Unfortunately, the Jewish people did not understand that verse, and they thought that the first Messiah had to do that. However, that is done by the second coming, the last. So since Yahushua came and there's still pain in the world, sin and war, then they say that Yahushua is not Messiah. However, they do not understand that Yahushua had to fulfill certain things, and the last will fulfill the others. So the things that they have been expecting will happen until the very end, and even after the witness like Moshe dies. The witness like Moshe is the second coming, just in case. I don't want to confuse nobody. Witness like Moshe, he's also called the prophet. He's also called Mashiach ben Yosef. He's also called, well, some would call him prophet like Enoch or Hanok. He's like Yirmiyahu, as we see in the Gospels, as they call them. So there are several titles that fit or are used to represent the same person. The second coming, the messenger of Messiah, Mikael in the flesh. Just like Yahushua is the word in the flesh, the last, the second coming, is Mikael in the flesh. And when that happens, he fulfills what Jacob represented as a shadow, what Moshe represented, what Enoch represented, what Noah represented. That's why he's called the son of man also, because he came straight from Adam, not through a virgin like Messiah did, for he is the seed of the woman. So, and one will sit on it in truth in the tabernacle of David, mentioning David after everything that we just said, judging and seeking justice and hastening righteousness. Judging and seeking justice. When Messiah came, he came to forgive, not to judge. The second one is coming to judge, not to forgive, because forgiveness was given already. If people don't want to accept it, then they will have to be judged.